Welcome to our high tunnel today. We're down here. It's only 35 degrees outside, and it's already over 60 degrees in here. It'll warm up probably up to 75 by noon. And we're going to show you all these boxes. All these boxes were made out of mostly old telephone poles that I sawed up on my sawmill. I just used the outside edges on most of them. Some I had to use inside. But they're all Western cedar. And Western cedar lasted a long, long time. A few of them been treated because they're not cedar, but most of them are Western cedar. We took a lot of leaves, it was in the fall, and a lot of limbs, rotten limbs, and we put all that down in if we could. Then we put all of our compost, finished filling it up with that so it wouldn't take so much. And now in the spring we got to go in and clean all these boxes out. All these pepper plants has to be pulled. Shake the dirt out of them. We pile them up and we take them all outside in the big compost pile. Oh, and hand them to Poopa. Can you get her all dug out of there, buddy? Henry, good job. They're really pokey, all right. Them punkin on a stick. We picked out a couple of beds that we're going to use for early planting, but all these beds are going to have to be filled up more because we're even getting down to our fill. So it's not going to work for our longer growing plants. So we're just going to try to find a couple of boxes we can do for early stuff. Then the rest of them, when everything thaws out, we'll be hauling everything in here to get them all filled up. Then we can plant our plants and our late stuff goes in them.
We'll be climbing over it. We'll be climbing backwards. That's fun. I missed a lot of them though. Huh? I'm gonna go one more lap around. Done with this bed. On to the next one. That was way too wobbly. Turn off the vines.
If you notice these beds that we were showing you, they're only a couple feet high. First started, we made a couple of beds that were like your kitchen sink, about that high, 36 inches, around that height, 34, something like that. But I got a bad back, and I found out leaning over just a little bit to reach the middle from both sides that it bothered me so bad, I cut the legs off and put them back on the ground. Now I found out, any of you have a bad back or it bothers you, like washing dishes, leaning over a little bit, if you make these bunks only about 2 feet high, tall, 20 inches, something like that, because if you get them too tall, you can really get in trouble. And too wide. You don't want them too wide. You get them over 42 inches. That might even be too wide for some people. But we want to make them wide enough. Put a pad down on the ground for my knees. Then one of my arms can always rest on the side of these bunks. I can weed out here for a couple hours. Don't bother me. and it won't bother your back that way.
You know, I do it.
Okay, we got this bed pretty much cleaned out, so we're going to start out with radishes. We got a French breakfast type, and then we got the red bell ones. So I use this stick to give us some lines. Just kind of mash it down in there. Keep them about 8 inches apart, 8 or 9 inches. I plant these about 1 inch apart. You get a little extra in there, you'll be all right. That don't hurt nothing. We got to plant a lot of these because my granddaughter Ella, she eats these by the bushel. You got to really get serious when you plant radishes for her. Last year I took her in like 8 or 10 that was just ready. And I asked her the next day, I says, "You got radishes left?" She said, "No, Booba, I ate all them last night." You can cover this a little deeper with potting soil because it won't get a crust on it. It ain't like covering them with dirt. If you cover these with dirt, you don't want to go over 1/4 of an inch because if it gets hard, they won't come up. Now, when we water this, and these seeds come up, they'll get an early start because they won't have to fight weeds right off the bat. I put my flour in this little container, and I done put my lettuce seeds in there with it. As you can see, and you just shake it all up together. And then when you seed this, you know exactly where you seeded, and your lettuce seeds won't be so thick in one place and thin in another. They'll be the nice even all over your bed. It's really nice because you can see exactly what you did. You don't have to wonder, oh, did I get seeds over there or over there? It's all right here. You can see everything. And you have a very, very nice even stand. Just keep scattering it till you're out of flour and get it all covered about the same, and you're ready to go. Little water. We'll be eating lettuce here in no time. Now we're going to go back. We're going to cover this light with potting soil. We'll water everything we planted. And it won't be long. We'll be eating lettuce. I think we'll have lettuce, radishes, and green onions by Easter. And folks, if you got any questions about when you see us doing things, if you want more information, if you contact us, we'll try to answer everybody's questions. So, anything you do, there's all kind of ways to do it. But this is the way we do it. It works well for us. And we think it'll work well for you too. Every year I order onion sets. I stick them in an ice box out in the shop. And that way I could keep them all summer to plant them, have green onions all year. I forgot about these. And when we was in there looking, was in town. When we was in town, they don't have any onion sets in yet. And I got to looking at these. Some of these will still grow. The bottom ones got enough moisture on the top ones. So I'm going to go ahead and plant them in this little bed and have some early green onions for Easter. Now, if you got green onions with tops on them, you have to leave the tops, these little tops, uncovered. If you don't, it'll smother them. Otherwise, you can just bury the whole thing. Onions are very, very tough. They could take a lot of stuff and keep growing. Just think, these are a year old. And what happens is they'll dry out over time. Normally plant green onions, you can plant these touching side by side because you're going to pull them up when they're little anyway. We won't have a lot of these that'll grow, but we got some. Pushing them down in there, getting the dirt seeded around them. And these onions will still grow. Over in this bed over here, we planted garlic last fall, and some of it's still staying green. Here's a couple here. They'll start greening up really quick now. You plant garlic in the fall, so it'll get a nice big bulb on it. You can plant it in the spring also. Like, you have to get it really done early, otherwise your bulbs won't be very big. We can get by with that more here because we can plant it sooner. See, Owen made him a mud hole here, and they said they're over there making a garden. So instead of being in the garden, they're going to make their own garden. I don't know how that'll turn out, but Owen told me be careful. Don't be stepping in that mud hole. But he's ready. He's going to fill her on up. But he's been working hard. He's got all the cucumbers cleaned out. He's got some beds cleaned out. Now it's time for them just to mess around and play and have a good time. Well, Ella called us over to the little garden she's making back here. She's getting her all dug up. What do you got planted, Ella?
I got cucumbers there, pumpkin on a stick there, and a pond with my dirt that I use.
Okay. Them sticks gonna let your cucumbers climb up them, huh? All righty. They'll be growing for long. All these boxes I hauled down from the lot, the cow lot. I pile it up out there until it all rots down. It's manure, straw, corn stalks, everything mixed in, and then when it rots down, it turns into just like living soil. It's a pure composted down. Everything does wonderful in it. The only thing you might have to add to on some plants is a little lime. Put a little lime on it if it's a little acidy. Other than that, you're good to go. Well, folks, thanks for coming along with us today. We showed you what a mess it was when we started. It takes a lot of hard work in the spring to get everything ready. Our compost spread, and we showed you the planting and everything's coming up. And we just want to thank you again and appreciate you coming along with us. And we hope that maybe you learned a few things, or if you got some comments like how we could do things different or how you do them, we'd appreciate to hear them. So thank you very, very much.